What's up, comic fam? It's your tour guide here. Um, I just put out a video, and basically, it was I had to basically play James Gunn's announcement on that video, and realized that the audio did not come through in the video, and so it was just me kind of listening, and James Gunn's talking, but there's no sound coming out. So it was a not a good video. So I just decided, you know what, I'm going to go live and kind of cover the basic announcement, give my thoughts on uh, basically James Gunn's announcement for projects. Um, he announced pretty much like 5 film projects and 5 movie projects, or sorry, 5 film, 5 TV, and I think like an animation project that are the first uh, first contents for the DCU. And overall, I think I'm optimistic. I think all those projects are things that I want to see. And really, for me, the big announcement was he said he's going to integrate the Wildstorm universe into uh, DC. And now we've seen inklings of this where DC has reintroduced, for example, the Wildcats, reintroduced Wildstorm characters, Gen 13. But they are kind of isolated into their own corner of, they're not really well integrated. You don't see you don't see Grifter and Batman running around. You don't see Grifter hanging out with Superman, and so it's not fully integrated in that sense. But DC is like, there's obviously an audience and a market for these Wildstorm books that they're introducing. A newer audiences are getting a taste of these characters and in new stories. And so, uh, anyway, the foundation is there for Wildstorm to be introduced. And I think with all the knowledge people have about, you know, these legacy characters, Superman, Aquaman, Batman, it's will be good to introduce again the Authority. Um, you know, they're from uh, the uh, Wildstorm, the original Image Wildstorm, um, and I think introducing that team is just sort of a launch pad for the eventual introduction of a team like the Wildcats, Gen 13, and some of those characters. So um, that's exciting for 2 reasons. Because books like these will start to spike. Um, the other thing that's exciting about it is like really like there'll be this additional focus on Jim Lee uh, as a Jim Lee works as collectibles, and I think that's the most exciting thing for me. With all this Wildstorm speculation, people are going to go out and get key issues, from these runs like Death Blow, Gen 13, Team 7. I don't know if Team 7 would actually, there. I guess anything like superhero, like a team of G.I. Joe, Captain America esque would would be good, I guess. I just don't know if they'll be something that I would be excited about. But of course, who knows? I think again, Gen 13, Wildcats. Uh, these are two that they should bring to the DCU. And again, I think we'll see in that Authority film, we'll probably see Easter eggs for some of these characters. I It would just be amazing to see like Grifter versus like Batman at some point. That would just be like such fan service for someone like me. Um, and if Jim Lee's already consulting on all of these projects. James Gunn is working closely with him um, to really, I think, have the comic and the movies play off of each other. So, you know, getting DC on board with creating comic book storylines that can nicely integrate into the movies later, or vice versa, having the movies really succeed and then the comics um, sort of building off what's there. So it's uh, turning out to be very ambitious and I think exciting. I think ultimately DC will have success. Whether that success will trump Marvel, it's going to have to take some time, and people are going to have to be patient. There are going to be some, bumps in the road and things. For me, really, it's like they can't mess up that Superman Legacy movie. And as great as All Star Superman is, I hope they don't adopt adapt that story as is. I hope they bring in elements of it, but that whether it's the sort of his origin story, um, I would like them to kind of integrate everything: Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, the best of everything, modern, into uh, a character that's relatable, but also stays true to the original roots. Um, like, I always harken back to 1978 Christopher Reeve Superman movie. That should be the template for whatever project they do. Um, so I'm hoping they keep the essence of that um, into a character that newer audiences can relate to. Um, Keep him as a big Boy Scout. I'm fine with that, but also don't reduce his intelligence or reduce his cool factor. Make him as cool as you can, uh, as superhero-y as you can, and don't really don't tie him down with this a stupid weakness. Like he's gonna be weak to kryptonite, right? But don't make it where like some like 3-year-old comes with a kryptonite and defeats him or something like that. Just avoid the storylines that just don't make sense, right? Uh, Bring a smart approach to that movie. So there's a lot of expectations for that movie, and to be honest, I'm going to reserve judgment until I see Superman Legacy, and that's going to it's going to signal to me whether the DCU has legs or not. Because if they botch that movie up, to be honest, if you don't make Superman the central character of whatever world you're building, then it's just going to fall apart. So everything hinges on Superman Legacy, and I'm just hoping, you know, uh, that they pour all their creative genius into making that movie work for everybody. Not obviously, it has to work for me, But and I understand like what I like is not what everybody else likes, but it's got to work for me and it's got to work for um, people down the block and people watching um, on YouTube and whatnot. So uh, that is, hey Augie, what's up, man? How you doing? Did you see the James Gunn announcement? That's what we're talking about. Yeah. What do you think? You excited? Disappointed? What are you hyped about? Booster Gold, yeah, yeah. It's exciting news. I think Booster Gold is going to be, it's going to be a very popular. Uh, it's going to be a very popular movie. I'm just not. I'm not terribly excited about it because I'm not a big Booster Gold fan, but I think it's going to ultimately work out um, in their favor. So I'm not mad about that. I'm actually really excited about all the projects they announced. I'm just really my sensitivities for Superman have me a little bit, uh, worried about the success of that movie because that really is like, again, everything hinges on whether that movie succeed for me at least. I mean, obviously it could bomb and then Brave and Bold and all the other stuff they have in the pipeline could be a big box office hit and just people just don't care about Superman anymore. And James Gunn has to like, work with that. But I think overall the vision is like, hey, that movie's a hit and it's the catalyst that gets everything going. So um yeah. Yeah, Cavill was a good Superman, but I don't know. I think if you're gonna start anew, it's good to just start like with a clean slate. So I don't, as much as I'd like to see, Cavill Superman, uh, I can understand. There's a lot of people that can play Superman, so I'm sure they can get somebody as good, if not better. But I know a lot of fans are disappointed about that, and with good reason. But yeah, um, it'll be interesting to see because whoever they bring in, that's going to be key. The story is going to be key. The actor they bring in to be is going to be key. The soundtrack is going to be key. I think you have to bring in Warner Brothers um, and get the John Williams soundtrack. You have to get that John Williams soundtrack into the movie. That's Superman in a nutshell. Just the theme song. Now, whether that'll happen or not is probably and probably won't happen given all the revenue soundtracks bring and the how key they are to projects. Um, and the Superman soundtrack is, I mean, as great as it is, it's not like you have to capture the tone of every scene and stuff. So like, like um, what's the song? Uh, Can You Read My Mind? Which is one of the sort of the melodies in Williams' soundtrack. It's the one where Superman and Lois are flying around. That song is a great song. Da, 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 da. But it doesn't work well with like whatever scene. You just can't plop it into a movie scene and expect it to work. Now, with that being said, that's not to say you can't add it to a soundtrack. You can keep those separate and bringing in another composer to do other parts of the movie. So you can have this main Superman theme, you can have sort of a love theme there, and then have another composer fill in all the gaps with soundtrack. But again, we should have that original soundtrack for Superman. That should be the sound of Superman. That is my opinion. So yeah, I was just showing off my Jim Lee doubles. That's a double. Jim Lee doubles. These are all doubles here. Got this Fantastic Four, Black Panther. All Jim Lee doubles. Doubles. So for me, like, especially this Jim Lee X-Men run. What is it? 248 through, I want to say 282, 281 or something like that. That run of X-Men is just, whenever I see it in a comic book shop, I cannot leave it there. I have to bring it home with me, and especially if it's like a nice newsstand copy like this one is. How can you leave that at the comic shop for like $1 or $2? I got this Got this for $1. No. Got for $3. I got this one for maybe $3 or $4 at the con. This one someone gifted that to me at the con, which was really nice. I was just very generous of that guy to do that. Doubles. There's another double. I have a lot of doubles of Jim Lee. And it's by design. I pick up stuff, and if I am on the hunt and I see more Jim Lee stuff, I pick it up. And they're oftentimes like nicer copies. I got this off of eBay, and it was like a VF, right? It's some spine ticks and stuff. And then I find this nicer copy at Half Price Books for literally $1.25. So those kinds of things kind of just, I'm glad when they happen. Trying to stay away from the 90s X-Men? Well, I would encourage you to, I think up to 300 is good. That is 90s, up to 300 is, like, again, Jim Lee. By the time X-Men Volume 2 comes around, that's like 91. So, I can see. Like, it's his run on X-Men is not a long one. It's like 11 issues plus an annual. So if you're thinking of collecting just the first couple issues, you could totally do that. In fact, you could probably go online, eBay, and buy 1 through 11 for like under $100. That's something you could definitely do. So, Agu, hey, are you excited about this weekend? We're meeting up with Damien. Sleepy Reader is going. So I'll make that announcement now. I've got actually a few announcements. One is 3 of my economy books. My 3-book economy submission at CGC just got moved to grading and quality control. So that tells me within the next week or so, those things should be shipping out. And I'll unbox that when those books get here. Those are 3 really big books. And books that I've been very curious whether we'll get the grades we thought we were going to get or not. I think we can get the grades that I thought they were, but at the same time, I knowing how kind of strict. I don't want to even say strict. It's just like you have like a very like a very sort of casual expectation from your casual grading. And I say casual grading because you're not doing all the fine detailed magnified kind of looking that CGC does. So from a very casual perspective, you're hoping that the grade comes back a certain way, and that's oftentimes not the best way to submit a book. You should probably be more, proactive about checking all the little, checking all the boxes that CGC does in terms of how they grade and do all that. So, yeah, will I do it at some point? Will I get in the habit of doing that on my next submissions? I probably will. And I probably will want to submit books at some point later this year. But for now, I'm focused on just picking up new books. Not even grading is not. I have books that I want to grade, but I just don't. They're not things I want to pursue right now. All right, so. All right, Agu. We are going to meet up at Jeff's Ancient Comics, right? And then, what I wanted to tell the viewers is you and I are meeting up for the first time, and we're going to go on a comic book hunt in the South Puget Sound area. And we're going to hit up Destiny City Comics, Ancient Comics. There's this other comic book shop if we have time, and if we have time, Hilla Comics in Auburn. That's sort of the game plan. But then we learned that Damien, aka Sleepy Reader, I should say it the other way, Sleepy Reader, aka Damien from Portland, wants to join us, and he's going to drive all the way from Portland, which is about a 2.5 hour, maybe a little over 2 hour drive to Tacoma to join us and basically just hang out with us and, hunt for comic books, talk comic books, hunt for comic books, just really connect and engage. So that was great news. It's one thing to just because I really Damien is just one of my favorite people online in this community, and we'd always talked about whether I drive down to Portland or he comes up here. We'd always talked about meeting up. And now it's happening. We're gonna actually meet up this Saturday, and it's just gonna be so. Because when I met Nam Min Hyung for the first time, it really felt like we'd known each other for many years, and there was just this sort of like natural, comfortable connection that took place, and it was really great. Hey, what's up, Nam Min Hyung? I was just talking about you. But yeah, I imagine I'm gonna have the same experience meeting Damien and Agu. I feel like you guys are just because we speak the language of comic books and all that, I just feel like already connected to you guys, and being able to meet in person is going to be really, really nice. And Agu, it's this is sort of like the beginning of uh, you know future outings like this. It's not like we're gonna go to Tacoma and that's that. It's we're gonna meet this weekend. We're gonna hunt books, and then we're gonna do it again during Emerald City Comic Con. We're gonna do it again. Maybe make it a once a month thing. I don't know how flexible your budget and schedule are, but I get about $30 every month to spend on comic books. Although after Emerald City Comic Con, I will not have $30 until June. I have to wait till June for it to reset. Unless I have, again, I have $385 right now. I'm going to spend $300 at the con. I get $85 for April and May, which if I save, I can have $100 in June. So again, I'm being very, 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 very. I'm trying. I shouldn't say I'm being. I'm trying to be very, very disciplined with my spending, so I don't. So I have money, and if you don't buy the little small stuff, and you save, and you get $30 more. You save $30 that month, and you get $30 next month. You can buy a $60 book. You don't buy a $60 book, and you hold off for that next month, you can buy a $90 book. And that's sort of my point. Like, I'm not going to be quick to spend stuff. I try to save and save and save and get some of the bigger books. Now, $300 is nothing to scoff at. But whether I can pick up a low grade Batman 241 or 251 with that remains to be seen. But that's what we're trying to do. Yeah, I know. Hyung, did you hear the James Gunn announcement? Yeah, okay, you did. I just read your comment. Yeah, the DC announcement was big. Basically, they're bringing Wildstorm. Go out and get these books now. Like I've been saying, I called it, right. I said Wildcats are coming to DCU. You should probably, or I didn't say that. I said Wildcats at some point will make its way into DC continuity, and that's what's happening. That announcement is basically confirming, hey, Wildstorm characters are part of the DCU, which is DC continuity, or at least a form of DC continuity. And if that is if audiences really connect and buy into that, that sets up Grifter versus Batman. It basically sets it up in the comics. You'll just see Wildcats like be introduced, Wildcats versus Justice League or something, some big major comic event that makes these characters collide, and that's for me was the most exciting part of the announcement, the Wildstorm announcement. Probably for most people, right? Jim Lee keeps his job. Jim Lee also will continue to. I would imagine if, let's say, okay, let's look 2, 3. Okay, let's look at that Authority project. Authority comes out as a movie. It's a hit. They throw Easter eggs for Wildcats. So Wildcats is in another movie. And then you're Jim Lee, you're heading DC. Wouldn't you want to get back into writing Wildcats and drawing it? And so it's like, why wouldn't he do that? Jim Lee gets to draw and write Wildcats, which is his original creation. So, it's good to see. I'm just looking forward to. Jim Lee's been somewhat dissed or disrespected in terms of his place in comic books, the value of his comics. And yeah, I just feel like he's kind of like he plays second fiddle to a lot of people, which he shouldn't, right? He has the best-selling comic book of all time. He's worked at 3 major publishing companies. He's pretty much the mastermind of DC right now. Um, and he just has amazing work ethic. He pretty much draws the best. This it's my opinion. He pretty much draws the best of any other comic book creator out there. And you can draw circles around some of these guys. Uh, Now his everybody has their favorites, and it, his style might not be something that you're fond of, but you just cannot deny his place in comic book history and his legacy. So I James Gunn's announcement really sets up, I think, collectors to re-examine, um, some of these books that they weren't getting the attention they deserved, and now they will. Collectors will be forced to uh, reckon with the power of Jim Lee. All right. Yeah, looking forward to the Superman movie. I'm looking forward to it as long as they do a good job. I am going to be very critical. Um, I just saw Batman, the Matt Reeves Batman. Did not really understand what the hype was about. I thought it was like, oh, it was okay. I didn't hate it, but people were saying it was better than Christopher Nolan's Batman. No, it was nowhere near Christopher Nolan's Batman. Christopher Nolan's Batman will be just one of the best comic book movies of all time. So it was the Matt Reeves Batman was good. It was dark. It had a decent story, I guess, but it paled in comparison to um, the Dark Knight. It paled in comparison to the Dark Knight. That's my 5 cents worth. I picked up this really minty copy, newsstand copy of this one, as well as a newsstand copy of this one. I have multiples of these, but not in newsstand. Now I have them. I'm always picking up this Jim Lee run of X-Men. Always. It's I don't care if I have like 5. Some of these I have like 5 and 6 copies of. I can never get enough, and that's an issue because I only have so much space. I just continue to pick up Jim Lee books at this rate. It's like all I'll have. I'll have to devote like an entire shelf to these X-Men books that Jim Lee did, which I mean I'm not complaining. I just don't have the space. I wish I had more space. I'm not complaining about the books. I'm complaining about the fact that I don't have the space for the books. That's the issue. I love the books. I will keep. It's just hard to like leave a Jim Lee book if you find it somewhere and it's like the price you want to pay for it. All the copies I pick up for Jim Lee are usually half cover or $1 or $2. So. Yeah. So yeah, Agu, what do you want to do for breakfast, man? Because we're meeting up at Jeff's he opens up at 10, and then Destiny City Comics opens up at 11. And I think we're meeting Damien there at noon. So what we can do is we can spend like 2 hours at Jeff's hunting, and then we'll spend about an hour and a half at Jeff's, and then drive into downtown Tacoma, which should take about 30 minutes with traffic and all on the weekend. Meet up with Damien at Destiny City Comics. There's a nice breakfast restaurant right next to Jeff's. So we can get up there early, have a breakfast there, and then just walk to Jeff's right after. You want to do that? That restaurant is packed always because I think the food there is really good. We do that. That sounds like a plan. Yeah, it's something like Huckleberries or something like that. It's right. The parking lot is always full with people eating there on the weekends, especially. So that tells me the food is good at least. And then, like I'm sure they'll have. How hard is it to mess up breakfast, right? It's just like eggs and bacon and toast. Like I'm sure it'll be good. So we can just get there. We can meet up there around 8:30. Let's say 8:30. I'll leave my place at 8. You leave your place at 8. Probably take us the same amount of time to get to Jeff's, and then we'll grab breakfast around 8:30. That'll give us a good hour and a half to eat, chat, talk, discuss our game plan. We'll go hunt for another hour and a half. Then I'll drive us down to Tacoma. We'll go meet up with Damien, and then we'll hit up comic book shops. We don't have to come. I mean, I have to eventually bring you back to Jeff's, but we don't necessarily have to come back. And I think Damien mentioned he wanted to hit the quarter bins at Jeff's, so we'll come back. He can hunt Bronze Age books at Jeff's, and as well as he wanted to pick up Vertigo and what's the other? Dark Horse. He wanted to pick up Dark Horse and Vertigo books. 8:30 a.m. it is then. We'll meet at Jeff's at 8:30, grab breakfast, hunt there for a little bit, head to Destiny around noon, look around there. We can hit I think we should take Damien to Hill of Comics. So we'll go Destiny, Hill of Comics, and then hit up Jeff's at the very end, and then we could say our goodbyes there around like 6 or 7. We'll say our goodbyes there. That sounds like a plan. Oh man, I'm so excited. I mean, I have all this budget saved up for Emerald City Comic Con, but I have given myself about a $25 budget, again, to pick up blank covers, to pick up some of the books that the artists will be at Emerald City Comic Con. So I am looking for like a Philip Tan book. I'm looking for Dustin Wen books, John Boyd Myers books. Although I'll probably pick up another John Boyd Myers book. Who else? Kevin Maguire book. I have a specific Kevin Maguire book in mind. as well as a specific Dustin Nguyen book in mind. So I'll be looking for those this weekend. All right. Well, again, I'll text over my number sometime this week, and you can reach me. We'll connect maybe like Friday or so. We'll connect. I'll give you a call. And yeah, for now, if nothing else, if you don't hear from me, we're going to meet up at Jeff's at 8:30 a.m. have breakfast, and then start our day. All right, Agu, check you later. Good night, Young. And thanks to you guys, my otakus, for watching. Talk to you later.